You click this expecting a morning routine. Wake up at 5 a.m., take a cold shower, write in a journal, and suddenly you belong to the top 1%. I will give you the routine, but it will shatter your current reality. Society tells you that discipline is about building better habits, that you just need more willpower. That is a lie designed to keep you exhausted. Willpower is a myth sold to the weak. The elite do not rely on motivation. They rely on psychological engineering, something Robert Greene repeatedly emphasizes. Power comes from designing systems, not relying on emotion. There is a 2,000-year-old framework, a specific sequence of psychological violence against the self that the great emperors used to conquer their own humanity. Once you see the architecture of this mechanism, your old self will not survive the night. Phase 1. Inoculation through degradation, the comfort trap. We begin with a truth you have been avoiding. You are fragile because you are entirely dependent on your comforts. You believe your daily cup of premium coffee, your temperature-controlled room, and your soft mattress are rewards for your hard work. They are not rewards. They are hostages, and the world holds a gun to their heads every single day. Look at your decisions. Look at the anxiety vibrating in your chest. When your bank account drops, or when a client threatens to leave, or when your business hits a slow month, you are terrified. You are negotiating out of fear. You agree to terms you hate. You tolerate disrespect from your boss, and you hold your tongue because you are paralyzed by the thought of losing your baseline of comfort. This is exactly how power works. As Robert Greene explains through Law 33, discover each man's thumbscrew. Your comforts are your pressure points. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire, understood this biological trap. He knew that a man who fears losing his possessions is already a slave to them. He did not write generic platitudes about being grateful. He engineered a psychological weapon against his own fear. He called it voluntary hardship. Once a month, Seneca would strip off his expensive robes. He would put on the coarse, scratchy tunic of a beggar. He would leave his massive estate, walk into the poorest district of Rome, sleep on the hard dirt floor, and eat nothing but stale, rock-hard bread. He did not do this for charity. He did not do this to be humble. He did it to murder his anxiety. While eating that stale bread, he would ask himself one question: is this the condition that I feared? When you expose yourself to the worst-case scenario on your own terms, you rob the world of its leverage over you. Modern science has finally caught up to this ancient savagery. Look at the 2023 meta-analyses on ego depletion by researchers like Roy Baumeister. They have proven that willpower is not a personality trait. It is a finite biological reservoir of resistance. Every time you suppress an urge, every time you worry about a potential loss, you bleed out a drop of that cognitive battery. By the time you sit down to do the actual work, to build the business, to study the market, to write the code, your battery is completely empty. You have spent all your energy subconsciously managing your fear of poverty and discomfort. The top 1% do not conserve their battery. They eliminate the hidden drains, or in Greene's terms, they remove weaknesses before entering the game. You must practice intentional degradation. You must engineer days where you deliberately subject yourself to the things you are terrified of. Take a week and cut your spending to absolute zero. Eat rice and beans. Sleep on the floor of your bedroom. Take freezing cold showers. Deny yourself the dopamine hits of sugar, entertainment, and luxury. Force your brain to experience the disaster it spends all day worrying about. When you wake up on the hard floor, cold and hungry, you will experience a profound psychological shift. You will realize you are still breathing. Your heart is still beating. You did not die. The fear evaporates. And when the fear evaporates, you reclaim all that wasted cognitive energy. You become incredibly dangerous to your competitors because you are no longer making decisions based on self-preservation. You make decisions based on pure strategy. A man who is willing to sleep on the dirt cannot be threatened with a pay cut. A man who enjoys the cold cannot be manipulated by the promise of warmth. This aligns perfectly with Greene's core idea. The less you depend on others, the more power you hold. When you inoculate yourself against your own worst fears, You strip the world of its power to negotiate with you. You set the terms. Always ask yourself, if your lifestyle was stripped away tomorrow, would you still move with the same confidence, or would you become obedient overnight? But conquering your fear of poverty is only the surface. What happens when the world attacks something you cannot easily replace? Your reputation, your success, your identity. That's where most people collapse. Phase 2. The illusion of control, the dead man's psychology. Most people operate under a fatal delusion. You believe you have agency over your life. You believe that if you work hard, you will be rewarded. You believe that if you treat people well, they will be loyal. You believe that if you study the market, your investments will multiply. This illusion of control is the exact reason you are suffering, because when the market crashes, when the partner cheats, when the algorithm suppresses your work, you collapse. You feel betrayed by the universe. You spiral into anger, depression, and endless complaining. But this is where you misunderstand power. As Robert Greene makes brutally clear, powerful people never rely on outcomes. They control inputs and adapt to reality, not fantasies. You need to understand a brutal historical fact. The foundation of Stoicism was not forged by a wealthy emperor in a palace. It was forged by Epictetus, a man born into slavery. Epictetus did not have the luxury of life hacks or morning routines. His physical body was owned by another man. One day, his master, a cruel man named Epaphroditus, took an iron tool and began twisting Epictetus's leg for amusement. Epictetus did not scream. He did not beg for mercy. He looked his master in the eyes and stated calmly, "If you keep twisting, it will break." The master laughed and kept twisting. The bones snapped with a sickening crack. Epictetus did not cry. He simply looked at his shattered limb, then looked back at his master and said, "I told you it would break." This is not a story about pain tolerance. This is a story about detachment taken to its most terrifying extreme. Epictetus understood something that most people will never grasp. His leg was not him. His leg belonged to the material world. And the material world is unstable, chaotic, and uncontrollable. If he tied his emotional stability to something he did not control, he would be destroyed. You must apply this same dead man's psychology to your modern life, because right now, you are emotionally bleeding over things you do not own. You feel attacked when someone insults you online because you think you own your reputation. You don't. Your reputation exists inside other people's minds, and you cannot control their minds. You panic when your business slows down because you think you own the outcome. You don't. You only own your actions. This is where the top 1% operate differently. They draw a hard, ruthless line. Inside the line, your thoughts, your actions, your decisions. Outside the line, everything else. And everything outside is treated as uncontrollable material. This aligns directly with Greene's deeper philosophy. Control what you can shape. Never attach yourself to what you cannot dominate. When you launch a business, you do not hope for success. Hope is a weak man's strategy. You execute with precision and then mentally detach from the result. You treat the outcome as if it has already failed. If it succeeds, it is a bonus. If it fails, it is expected. This is the secret to high performance under pressure. Have you ever noticed you perform perfectly in practice, but collapse during the real moment? That's attachment. That's fear of outcome. That's your mind trying to control something it cannot. When you remove attachment, the pressure disappears. You stop overthinking. You stop hesitating. You become cold, precise, strategic. Look at your current anxieties. Write them down. Now ask one brutal question. Do I have absolute control over this? If the answer is no, you are carrying dead weight. You are emotionally investing in something that does not belong to you. Drop it immediately, because the moment you detach from outcomes, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. As Greene emphasizes in multiple laws, the man who cannot be emotionally read cannot be controlled. Ask yourself, how much of your stress right now comes from things you were never in control of in the first place? But even with perfect detachment, you still face a problem. You still fail. You still procrastinate. You still break your own rules. So the real question becomes, how do you force execution even when your mind resists? Phase 3. The architecture of the inevitable, the tyranny of micro-actions. Society loves the concept of motivation. You watch a highly edited video, the music swells, the speaker yells, and you feel a surge of energy in your chest. You declare that tomorrow everything changes. You're going to wake up early, crush the gym, and build your empire. 3 days later, you hit the snooze button, skip the gym, and spend 3 hours scrolling. Why? Because motivation is a biological spike. It is a temporary surge of dopamine and adrenaline designed for short bursts of survival, like running from a predator. It was never designed to fuel a 10-year plan. Relying on motivation is like trying to heat your house with fireworks. It's loud, it's intense, and it disappears instantly. The elite do not rely on motivation. They rely on inevitability. And this is something Robert Greene demonstrates repeatedly. Powerful people remove randomness and design systems where behavior becomes predictable and controlled. Marcus Aurelius did not want to wake up early. He wrote about it himself. He loved the warmth of his bed. He hated the cold responsibility of ruling an empire, but he still got up every single day. Not because he was motivated, because his behavior was structured. Modern behavioral science confirms this. Researchers like B.J. Fogg explain, you do not build habits through willpower. You build them through design. But we're not building habits. We're building control systems. The amateur tries to create new behaviors out of nothing. I will read 30 pages every day. I will work 5 hours daily. They fail because the action is floating in empty space. There is no structure holding it in place. The strategist does something different. He finds an action that is already hardwired into his brain. Something he does every single day, no matter what. Drinking coffee, brushing teeth, taking a shower. Then he attaches the new behavior to it, not loosely, but permanently. You do not negotiate. You create a trigger response chain. Coffee, immediate reading. Shower, immediate planning. Wake up, immediate execution. But here is the key. You start small, microscopic. If you want to build discipline in training, you do not commit to a 2-hour workout. That creates resistance. You commit to putting on your shoes. That's it. The brain does not resist small actions. But once the action starts, momentum takes over. This is where power begins. You must understand something critical. Your brain is not your ally. It is a survival machine. It constantly pushes you toward comfort, ease, and minimum effort. And if you do not control it, it will control you. So you become the architect, and your brain becomes the system you design. This is pure Greene strategy. Create structures where others, and even yourself, have no choice but to follow the path you've set. You remove friction from good actions. You add friction to bad ones. Sleep in your workout clothes. Put your phone far away. Delete distractions every night. Make failure inconvenient. Make discipline automatic. The Roman legions did not win because they were braver. Their enemies were bigger, stronger, more aggressive. But the Romans were mechanical. They trained so deeply that in chaos they didn't think. They executed. That is your goal. To remove emotion from execution. To eliminate decision-making from routine. To build a life where success is not a choice, but an outcome of structure. When you remove choice, you remove weakness. When you remove hesitation, you remove failure. Ask yourself, are your daily actions based on discipline or on how you feel in the moment? Because if it's based on feeling, you've already lost. But no system is perfect. No structure is unbreakable. At some point, you will fail. You will slip. You will break your own rules. And when that happens, most people collapse completely. So the real question is, what do you do after failure? Phase 4. The daily assassination, the autopsy of the self. The defining characteristic of the weak is how they end their day. The average person uses the evening to escape. They eat heavy food. They scroll endlessly. They consume noise to silence the quiet discomfort in their mind. They distract themselves from one thing, the truth. The truth about what they didn't do. The truth about where they failed. The truth about who they really are. So they go to sleep hoping tomorrow will be different. It won't, because hope is not a strategy. And as Robert Greene makes clear, those who avoid reality become victims of those who study it. The top 1% do not escape. They audit. Seneca practiced something brutal. At the end of the day, when the house was silent and dark, he would sit alone and put himself on trial. Not metaphorically, systematically, he would replay his entire day, action by action, word by word, like a surveillance recording. You must do the same. But understand this clearly, his is not a gratitude journal. This is not self-reflection. This is an interrogation. You sit down with a notebook and you ask, where did I act out of fear today? Where did I seek approval? Where did I avoid discomfort? Where did I lie to myself? And you do not justify anything. You do not soften it. You do not protect your ego, because your ego is the enemy. If you lost your temper, you write, I failed to control my emotions. I reacted like an amateur. If you wasted time, you write, I chose distraction over progress. My focus is weak. If you avoided difficult work, you write, I prioritized comfort over growth. This is where most people break, because they cannot face themselves without distortion. But this is exactly what Greene warns about in Human Nature. People are addicted to illusions about themselves, and that is why they remain powerless. When you write your failures down in cold, brutal language, something happens. The excuses disappear, the emotional fog clears, and your behavior becomes visible, objective, undeniable. You can only fix what you are willing to expose, and most people never expose anything. But this process has a second step, and this is where it becomes powerful. After the interrogation, after the destruction, you forgive yourself. Completely, not emotionally, strategically. You say, do not repeat this again. Now I move forward, and that version of you, the weak one, the distracted one, the emotional one, dies right there. This is the daily assassination. You kill the version of yourself that failed today so it cannot exist tomorrow. Most people carry their failures forward. They carry guilt. They carry regret. They carry hesitation. And that weight slows them down. But when you execute this process, you wake up empty. No baggage, no emotional residue, just data. This is power, because now you are not reacting emotionally to your past. You are refining yourself strategically. Exactly how Greene describes mastery. Observe yourself like you would observe an opponent. Ask yourself, if someone reviewed your entire day like a courtroom case, would you respect the person you see? Because at the highest level, this is what separates the elite from everyone else. They don't lie to themselves. They confront reality. They extract lessons, and then they eliminate weakness. Daily, ruthlessly. This is not self-improvement. This is transformation through destruction. But once you begin doing this, something strange happens. People start reacting differently to you. They sense something they cannot explain, because you are no longer operating like them. Phase 5, the shift in power, why people start treating you differently. When you apply these phases, something begins to change. Not just inside you, but around you. People start reacting differently. They can't explain it, but they feel it. Because most people are predictable, they react emotionally. They seek validation. They defend themselves constantly. They are readable, and anything that is readable is controllable. But now you're different. You don't react immediately. You don't explain yourself unnecessarily. You don't chase approval. You don't panic under pressure. And this creates something rare, uncertainty. As Robert Greene emphasizes, what cannot be read cannot be controlled. When people cannot predict you, they become cautious. Your boss stops pushing you as aggressively. Because you're no longer desperate, your peers stop testing you. Because you don't respond like before, manipulators lose interest. Because there is no emotional reaction to exploit. This is not confidence. This is detachment. And detachment creates power. Look at most people. They are constantly signaling weakness, explaining their actions, defending their decisions, over-talking, overreacting. They are trying to control perception. And in doing so, they expose everything. But you do the opposite. You say less. You react less. You reveal less. This aligns directly with one of Greene's core ideas. Power grows in silence, not in explanation. When you stop explaining, people start assuming. When people start assuming, they fill the gaps with their own fears. And that's where your presence becomes heavy. You walk into a room and you don't need attention. You don't need validation. You don't need to prove anything. And ironically, that's when people start noticing you the most. Because neediness repels, control attracts. You become harder to manipulate, harder to read, harder to influence. And once that happens, the entire dynamic shifts. People either respect you or avoid you, because you are no longer playing the same game. Ask yourself, right now, are people reacting to you or are they controlling you? Because most people think they have presence, but what they actually have is dependency, and dependency is weakness. But even at this level, there is still a final evolution, because being disciplined, being detached, being controlled is not the end. It's the foundation. The real question is, what do you do with that power? Phase 6, the final evolution from discipline to strategic dominance. At this point, you are no longer operating like the average person. You have control over your habits. You have detachment from outcomes. You have structure in your daily actions. You have awareness of your own weaknesses. But understand this, discipline alone does not make you powerful. It makes you stable. And stability is only the beginning. Because there are millions of disciplined people who are still broke, still stuck, still invisible. Why? Because they are executing without strategy. They are working hard, but they are not positioning themselves. And this is where the real shift happens. This is where you move from self-control to external control. As Robert Greene emphasizes, true power is not just mastery over yourself, but mastery over situations, timing, and perception. Most people focus on effort. The elite focus on leverage. Effort is linear. You work more, you earn more. Leverage is exponential. You position correctly, results multiply. And the difference between the two is thinking. The average man wakes up and asks, what do I need to do today? The strategic man asks, what move gives me the highest long-term advantage? That single shift changes everything. Now you are not just completing tasks. You are placing pieces on a board. You stop chasing money. You start building systems. You stop reacting to opportunities. You start creating them. You stop competing directly. You start positioning indirectly. This is pure green philosophy. Never fight on the battlefield. Others expect control the game itself. Look at your current actions. Be honest. Are you busy or are you building? Because those are not the same thing. You can work 10 hours a day and still move nowhere. Because movement without direction is just exhaustion. Strategic dominance comes from 3 things: clarity, positioning, timing. Clarity, knowing exactly what you are building. Positioning, placing yourself where opportunities come to you. Timing, acting when the impact is highest. Most people ignore all 3. They act randomly. They chase trends. They follow noise. And then they wonder why nothing compounds. But once you understand this, you stop wasting energy. You become selective. You become precise. You become dangerous, because now every action has intent behind it. And intent creates momentum. Momentum creates results. And results create power. Ask yourself, are your daily actions building something or just keeping you busy? Because the difference between average and elite is not effort. It is direction. And once you align direction with discipline, you enter a completely different level. But there is still one final piece. Because even with strategy, even with discipline, even with control, most people still fail at the last stage. They lose everything they built. Not because they were weak, but because they didn't understand one thing: how to protect power once they have it. Phase 7. The preservation of power. Why most people lose everything they build. Reaching power is one level. Keeping it is another. Most people focus entirely on building. Very few understand preservation. They develop discipline. They build income. They gain confidence. And then slowly they lose everything. Not because they became weak again, but because they became careless. Success creates a dangerous illusion. It makes you believe, I've figured it out. And that belief is the beginning of decline. As Robert Greene warns, power attracts envy, attention, and hidden enemies the moment you rise. When you start growing, people start watching. Some admire you, some study you, some wait. And most people are completely blind to this shift. They become visible, but they don't become strategic. They start talking more, sharing more, showing everything. They confuse attention with power. But attention is exposure, and exposure is vulnerability. This is why so many people rise fast and fall even faster. They build success, but they don't protect it. Understand this clearly. The moment you gain something valuable, you create a target on your back. Your time becomes valuable. Your focus becomes valuable. Your reputation becomes valuable. And if you do not protect these things, they will be taken from you. Not always aggressively, sometimes slowly, quietly. Distractions increase. Requests increase. Expectations increase. And before you realize it, your structure breaks. This is why Greene emphasizes never expose more than necessary. Because the more people see, the more they can use against you. You must become selective, not just in action but in visibility. You don't share every move. You don't explain every plan. You don't reveal every success. You move and let results speak. At the same time, you must guard your environment. Because power is not only attacked from the outside, it is drained from the inside. The wrong people, the wrong habits, the wrong routines, they slowly weaken your structure. You stop auditing yourself. You stop controlling your time. You start relaxing your standards. And that is how decline begins. Not with failure, but with comfort. The same comfort you escaped earlier returns in a new form. And if you are not careful, it destroys you again. Ask yourself, if your current level of success stayed exactly the same, would your current habits protect it or slowly destroy it? Because maintaining power requires a different mindset than building it. You must remain alert, calculated, disciplined. You must assume everything you built can be lost. Not out of fear, but out of awareness. Because awareness is protection, and protection is what separates temporary success from lasting dominance. But even this is not the final level, because the highest level is not just keeping power, it is becoming someone who cannot lose it. Phase 8. The identity shift, becoming someone who cannot fall. At the highest level, this is no longer about habits. It is no longer about discipline. It is no longer even about strategy. It is about identity, because everything you have done so far, removing comfort, detaching from outcomes, building structure, auditing yourself, thinking strategically, protecting your position, all of it leads to one thing: becoming someone different. Most people try to change their life without changing who they are. They try to act disciplined while still being undisciplined internally. They try to think strategically while still reacting emotionally. They try to build power while still seeking validation, and that contradiction always destroys them. Because you cannot outperform your identity. This is where the real shift happens. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and you start asking, "Who do I need to become so that this is automatic?" This is exactly what Robert Greene teaches at the deepest level. Power is not an action, it is a persona you consciously construct and control. The weak man tries to force discipline. The powerful man becomes disciplined. The weak man tries to act confident. The powerful man becomes indifferent to validation. The weak man tries to control outcomes. The powerful man becomes detached from them. This is not surface-level change. This is identity reconstruction. You eliminate the version of you that hesitates. You eliminate the version of you that seeks comfort. You eliminate the version of you that reacts emotionally. And you replace it with something else. A version of you that operates on standards, not feelings. At this level, discipline is no longer effort. It is default. Control is no longer forced. It is natural. Strategy is no longer something you think about. It is how you see the world. And once this shift happens, you cannot go back. Because now your old life feels foreign. The distractions feel meaningless. The emotional reactions feel weak. The average mindset feels unbearable. You don't need motivation anymore. You don't need reminders. You don't need external pressure. Because your identity does not allow weakness to exist. Ask yourself, if someone watched your actions for 24 hours, would they believe you are building power or just talking about it? Because at the end of all of this, there is no secret. There is no hack. There is no shortcut. There is only this: you either become the man who operates at this level, or you don't. And most people won't, not because they can't, but because they won't let go of who they currently are. They will choose comfort. They will choose distraction. They will choose the familiar version of themselves, and they will stay exactly where they are. But if you've followed this entire process, if you've understood it, then you already feel it, that distance, that separation between you and the average. That is the beginning, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If this shifted your perspective, understand something. This is only the surface. There are deeper layers of power, psychology and strategy that cannot be discussed openly. That's how the game works. Information that creates real advantage is always hidden. So if you're serious about this transformation, subscribe, but more importantly, decide. Because you now have the blueprint. The only question left is, are you going to execute it or go back to being controlled? Most people will go back. That's why the top 1% stays the top 1%.